Welcome, everyone, to a call for judgment. If you haven't heard this story about Target, well, you need to hear about it. Now, it shouldn't surprise anyone out there that's listened to my work over the years, even though early on people told me I was crazy about how this whole thing was going to play out with Satanism and becoming victims, Satanists becoming victims and being the ones who represent love. I openly was saying it early on that Satan was going to be betrayed, the Antichrist was going to be betrayed, as someone who's loving and accepting of all. And that's part of the betrayal. Now, we know that we are dealing with a spiritual war. Well, Target is now selling some satanic merchandise in the store. And I have to be really careful about what I say. Unfortunately, a lot of churches and ministries out there, which I am not either, don't cover these topics because it's not politically correct anymore. People are afraid of backlash. People are afraid of controversy. People are afraid of confrontation. Me, I'm not afraid of any of the above. In fact, I've proven quite the opposite over the years. And that's one of the reasons that I am thrown all over the place and have my free speech completely pretty much taken away time and time again. So if you didn't hear about this, well, let's take a look at some of the stuff that they're selling here and the story about Target. And of course, if you haven't heard, you could actually purchase underpants where you can tuck yourself away. That's right. This is what our world has become. And that's why I've constantly talked about this country being Babylon, because we literally have a country that openly in the media is portraying Christians as hateful bigots and Satanists as wonderful, loving, caring people. That's how inverted this world has become. And other countries out there do not embrace this type of stuff. Other countries aren't openly talking about worshiping the devil and not joking about it. They're dead serious. And Hollywood has shown us this. The music industry has shown us this. And I've exposed this over the years. This country is openly beginning to profess a love and worship of the devil. Take a look at Target.
Tonight, Target is removing some items from its LGBTQ Pride collection after threats and what the company describes as, quote, volatile circumstances. Fox 11's Ed Laskos live with reaction tonight. Ed.
And no doubt about it, Target is a retailer very much in damage control tonight, admitting confrontational behavior aimed at its team members, its workers inside its stores, creating volatile circumstances like the exploding thread on social media calling for an outright boycott of Target. Watch.
There's no coming back from this, Target. You have dug a grave. You are dead. You are buried. You are finished. It is over.
From TikTok, just some of the social media backlash making Target stores the latest target in a consumer boycott. The uproar centers around an LGBTQ controversy and the June Pride Month displays in Target stores nationwide. There are new Pride items bringing controversy, from tuck-friendly bathing suits for transgenders to mugs with the slogan gender fluid, to other more controversial Pride merchandise now out from a European designer that expresses satanic views. Check out this t-shirt. See its slogan there. It reads, Satan respects pronouns. That, along with other merchandise showing skulls and horns, all igniting a consumer firestorm.
You signed a designer who worships and believes in Satan, who is all things evil. And once you do that, you have taken love out of the equation.
Social media outrage. That's just some of the explosive tweets here. And this one says, Target also sells tuck-friendly bathing suits for children in the Pride section. It all has corporate leaders at Target now holding emergency meetings, wanting to avoid the type of backlash that hit Bud Light, sending its sales plummeting when beer drinkers staged a boycott, refusing to buy or even drink the beer after Bud Light used a transgender influencer in its promotional campaign. It's all now forcing Target into damage control, downsizing its Pride selection in some stores while moving the Pride display to the back of other stores, all leaving Target's corporate leaders to downplay the controversy, saying, quote, when we think about purpose at Target, it's really about helping all the families, and that all word is really important. But to the retail giant, what's really the most important of all just might be how it plays out on social media, where upset consumers have the power to drive a boycott.
And now you will not get a dime from me, and you're going to lose more than just one customer. You're going to lose billions. Billions. Bye-bye.
Now live, it seems Target already may have taken some of these corrective measures here in our area. I can say that after visiting several Target stores through LA County, not finding any of that satanic material like those t-shirts or some of the other questionable items that's driving this controversy. And I can tell you that the pride displays still in the front of the Target stores I happen to go by, but the displays themselves seemed a bit smaller, a bit more understated than before. For now, we're live here in West Hollywood. Back to both of you we go.
All right, Ed, we'll see how that plays out.
So that looks like a great time, right? Now, it shouldn't really shock anybody. Again, I've covered over the years all these stores that are just slowly selling satanic merchandise. I've talked about Hot Topic, those types of stores at the mall where you would think you might be able to find that. But it's just a way to desensitize people to make it more and more normal. So, of course, when you listen to that video clip, well, what do you hear? Well, you hear a Christian talking about we're shutting down Target, we're going to boycott it. And again, Target knows exactly what they're doing. These brands like Bud Light and Target are self-sabotaging. Part of this communist world order, these industries, these businesses are going to be gone. Things are going to be purchased online. People are going to be imprisoned in their homes. You might think that sounds crazy, but these guys don't have a choice. These guys don't get a choice. They're part of a brotherhood. And when they're told, just like I covered with the Me Too movement, all the actors, they were getting called out for harassment and things like that. Every one of them confessed to it. Every one of them retired and lost their jobs because this is part of the mind control operation that they're playing on our society. So companies like Bud Light, suddenly they put out, whatever it was, the transgender commercial or the person advertising it being a spokesperson. And of course, Bud Light's stock goes through the toilet. Now, why? Because they're going to blame Christians for persecution and persecuting and being haters and mean people. And now you're going to see the same thing with Target. These brands are working together. In a communist world order, these corporations are the ones who are running and controlling everything. And they need to keep their finger on the pulse of mind control and manipulation. And that's what's going on here. Target knows exactly what they're doing. Nobody could be this tone deaf to put some of these things out there unless they knew what they were doing and they wanted to get a reaction out of people. Everybody, remember, it's a seesaw. Everyone's canceling each other out. That's how this whole thing works, right? We get canceled out, they get canceled out. Free speech gets canceled out. Everything turns into hate speech, controlled speech. Control this, control that. It's about total behavioral control, as Larry Fink once said. So I have to be careful here. Part of the new Pride collection introduced by Target includes clothing made by a UK-based brand whose designer has expressed satanic views. What's called sounds like a bomb business, that's for sure. A London-based company which is headed by a transgender man known as Eric has reportedly been collaborating with Target for about a year. The collection includes shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags with messages that include live, laugh, lesbian, cure transphobia, not trans people, too queer for here, and we belong everywhere. The owner says apparel that includes satanic imagery, including pentagrams, horn skulls, and references to the devil, which of course they have. They have Baphomet right on there, right? No big deal. I've only been talking about the normalization of the goat thousands of times, and people are like, you're completely crazy. You're overthinking what the greatest of all time thing means, right? They're the normalization of Baphomet, where they're literally selling Baphomet shirts in the store that says Satan loves pronouns, So one design found on the apparel maker's t-shirts and pins says Satan respects pronouns. Last year, Eric wrote on the brand's Instagram page, being called a demon is something I can cope with. And the idea of a trans demon is pretty cool. Most of my work focuses on gothic or dark and satanic imagery, just opposed with bright colors and LGBT positive messages. Remember, this utopia is a complete mind control operation. I like to reference it as Stepford Wives. Okay, the movie Stepford Wives. Everybody thinks they're living in this wonderful reality. They have blinders on. They're pretending that everything's okay. Nobody even sees what the government is doing, how they're sabotaging everyone. Everyone's angry. Everybody's depressed. Everyone has anxiety. All being done by these people. They're turning all of us on one another. They're the ones who are doing it. These things that are happening on the news are not really occurring. They're make-believe. These brands are creating these things to get a rise out of both sides, and they work them back and forth. And so they work this whole thing into a civil war, which is coming. Now, I'm not saying a civil war where there's violence, but there's going to be red and blue states because they're not going to be able to get everybody on board with this. And they're not going to be able to have force because there's more of us than there are of these people who are doing this. Okay? They'll be able to herd all of the liberal people where they want to herd them, and they'll go willingly. These are the same people you see out still wearing, diapers in their face, right? These are the same people. I mean, they're completely, it's almost like they like the punishment, like they enjoy it. It's really disturbing. So, the Target has partnered with a company that promotes Satanism to produce its Pride clothing collection, tweeted political commentator Eric Erickson, who added, if you thought Bud Light went too far, you may need to consider shopping elsewhere. Bud Light, and again, this is so deliberate. I mean, nobody's this tone deaf. Bud Light's audience, would not be the trans community. They did that on purpose. They're killing the stock on purpose. All these things they do are psychological. The entire thing is a psychological operation on all of us, on all of our minds, constantly. And they don't stop. They don't waste a second of their time. They're herding us into this false reality that's not really occurring. Nobody sees this stuff occurring in their day-to-day life. You just see it on the box, the tell-lie vision. So another Twitter user, Michael Seifert, tweeted, mega corporations are partnering with literal Satanists to promote transgenderism to children. You can't make this up. Stop giving them your money. And again, this has been going on for a while. Okay? This is not new. They're openly doing it now because they want more people to notice. Right? And they want Satanists to be victims. They're the heroes. Remember in this show, this charade that's going on? What did we hear about with Planned Parenthood? What did we hear about in Texas? Oh, we're finding the most unlikely heroes. The Satanic Temple, the Satanists are heroes for women's rights. They're patriots, right? I covered the SatanCon thing, which I believe I got a strike for, which is on my website. And I talked about it, all these new members that they've recruited. Because if the media continues to portray them like this, more people are going to sign up. More kids are going to sign up. And then they gateway these kids. They start them off with simple things, right? Oh, Magic the Gathering. Oh, Dungeons and Dragons, which might be a little bit dated. Oh, Harry Potter. Get the 5-year-old, the 7-year-old. Oh, do you want to, get them to watch? Oh, I love Harry Potter. Oh, yeah. Have you ever thought about doing a real witchcraft? Oh, I would love to try it. Let me tell my parents. And the parents are like, yeah, why not? Acceptance, tolerance, love, right? Like I constantly say, 100 years ago, what was happening to all these people, right? What was happening to them? Nobody was putting up with this stuff. But everybody's putting up with it. Everybody's tolerating it. So viral videos include critics who claim that Target was marketing tuck-friendly swimsuits to children, though the company said that the bathing suits were aimed at adults. Okay, maybe they're aimed at adults. Can somebody wake me up from this? Tuck-friendly? I mean, if you told me this 20 years ago, I would have thought you were absolutely insane and needed to be in a padded room. Well, I was completely wrong, and the people probably who should be in one aren't being in one. They're being empowered, which is why you're seeing the destruction of our society, right? The destruction of free speech, the destruction of the right to bear arms. Turn us into China, turn us into China. That's what's going on. So the I really can't believe what I'm reading. Both feature a circular tag that reads tuck-friendly construction and extra crotch coverage. Gosh, wake me up. Oh, where's Kruger? Is Freddy Krueger going to be, am I in Elm Street? They say, did you know Target also sells tuck-friendly bathing suits for children in the Pride section? Well, now you do, reads one photo. The post has received more than 4,000 likes. And this is the problem with everything going on with Trump, with Biden, with the race war. These are all psychological events and things that they're beating with repetition into people's minds. That's what they're doing. They're convincing. They convince the trans people that, that we're hateful and we're bigots and we want to see something happen to them. They convince them the same thing, and it goes back and forth. And so people just focus on one another, hate one another, don't want anything to do with one another, want to separate from one another, while these people who are in the media are getting away with this on both sides. Both sides. The people who are like, I'm going to boycott Bud Light. Do you think they care? Do you think Anheuser-Busch cares that people on Twitter are boycotting? They're just doing the cancel culture the other way now, like they canceled the majority of us many times over. It just goes back and forth until, again, everybody ends up canceling one another out. So this is what you see going on. I mean, is it a shock? No, we know that they sell Pride stuff and do all this stuff at these mainstream stores now. They do all the commercials. Is seeing Satan on shirts surprising? Not to me, it's not, because I've been covering it for years, but I know that a lot of people have seen it and they're like, what? They're selling Baphomet, they don't even know what Baphomet is. They're selling the goat and it says, Satan loves you on it. Satan loves pronouns on it. I mean, it's so obvious what's going on. And this is spiritual warfare. And again, I don't know how people don't think that this is Babylon. I mean, look, I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. That's just my take from evaluating it, what I feel in my gut about this place, about what they're doing here, right? It's frightening. And they're empowering these people, they're empowering Satanists. They're victimizing. Remember, when you become the victim, okay, you can't question the victim. You can't say anything about the victim. You can't look at their teachings and ask why they're teaching this or what they're doing here. You're not allowed to ask the victim. We know of certain victims in today's world that you can't ask a single question about what they teach. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Pagels, right? So the nightmare continues on. I mean, they'll probably tell me this is hate speech because I have an opinion on it, because this is what constantly happens to me. I already got a strike on this channel. So for warning strike, you get a warning and then you get one and then you get two and then you go bye-bye. Same pattern over and over. It's just becoming repetitive for me to even do this at this point. I don't really feel like I'm even needed at this point. It's so obvious what's going on. I've been saying it for years. So there it is right in front of your faces, ladies and gentlemen. The devil being promoted, sold in major brands now, and being promoted, of course, like I've said, over and over again. And I've had so many Christians who are like, no, Jesus is love. I know that Jesus is love and mercy, but they're portraying the Antichrist as coming in the name of love. Hence this chaos that they're creating. Hence this division that they're creating. Who do you think is going to rise from the ashes? Who do you think is going to save the day, so to speak, in the minds of society? The Antichrist is. But again, those are all crazy things that people just don't want to, Christians go to church, but they don't want to believe that the Antichrist is real. It's like, well, do you just read the Psalms? Do you just read a couple stories that make you smile? Right? Do you just read about Jesus' birth? Or do you read Revelation? Do you read Daniel? Do you read the books of the Bible that have prophecy in it and talk about the end times? Because it's happening around us. And people still don't believe it. It's like, how do you not see it at this point? The only way you don't see it is if you're denying it because you don't want to accept it. And it's a harsh thing to accept. It brings me down a lot of the times because I look around and I can't believe what this world has become in just 5 years. I can't believe it. And it's heartbreaking for the kids out there. I thank everybody for being here today. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families.